It's time to talk some baseball action. Joining me at the desk are Giuseppe, Craig, Antonio, and Jake. Now, last week we talked about Matt Wieters being a free agent, but this week he's found his landing spot in the nation's capital. Now, guys, Matt Wieters has signed with the Washington Nationals. Last week he was still a free agent. This week he has a home. Is this a big deal for the Nationals? Is this making them an even better contender?
I think this move puts them over the top. This makes them arguably the best team in the National League. I think if you look at the stats, Matt Wieters, he could prove to be, look, what did he do? 243 last year with 17 home runs and 66 RBIs. That's not Wilson Ramos stats, but you look at him, he's a switch hitter. He also behind the dish, he's a 2-time Gold Glove, 4-time All-Star veteran presence. I like the move.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that Matt Wieters is a good addition for the Nationals, but let's be honest, they're not the best team in the National League. That's the Chicago Cubs. So, but I do think it is a step down from last year. Wilson Ramos, he hit .307, had a career year last year before he tore his ACL out at the end of the year. And it's definitely a step down, Matt Wieters, but it was the right move for the Nationals. But they're already the favorites, you know, in the NL East. So,
you know, Craig, I think they are 100% contenders, the Washington Nationals, and I think this really didn't change too much. We were talking about it before. The Nationals with this trade, or with this acquisition, it's not really a big move for them. It's more of a big move for Matt Wieters because now he moves on to a contending team rather than the Orioles, who you never know if they're going to have an up and down season.
I think with the whole thing with Matt Wieters is, as everyone's saying, it's a better spot than like a Derek Norris being the starting catcher, and I mean it's better than Travis d'Arnaud as well. But as you said, he hit .307 last year, and before he hit that slump, he was hitting like .350. He was right up there with Daniel Murphy for the highest batting average in baseball. So it's definitely a downgrade from last year. But the thing with Matt Wieters, wherever he went in the Nationals, or even when he came to the Mets, they could still win without him. He's not going to be the piece that puts him over the top and gives him that ring.
An upgrade from last year, though. You look at the injuries from Ramos. Ramos' best year of his career was last season, obviously. 08 injured, 09 injured, 12 right knee injury, 14 left hand injury, 2016 torn ACL. He's not going to be back till May this year. They're better off right now with Wieters. They have a veteran catcher behind the plate.
Okay, so then with Wieters the past 2 seasons besides last year, he played what, 60 games combined? We're talking about a catcher who had Tommy John surgery. Yeah. He can't stay healthy.
124 games last year.
Since his Tommy John surgery, he hasn't been the same catcher either. If you look at his stats, the last 2-3 years, he has not been the same since he got that Tommy John.
And
he was hurt 2 years, then last year.
We're talking 5 years ago, his last Gold Glove. He's not the same player back then. He's not the same player.
Right. To update us on the Nationals division rival, we bring in our correspondent, Joe Rea, with the latest on the Mets.
For the third year in a row, the New York Mets will have to have a backup plan for their third baseman, David Wright, at least until mid-March. That is when manager Terry Collins has indicated the captain will make his return. Wright began throwing a baseball again 60 feet for 20 times a day and says this is the first time he has done so without any pain. In 2015, he missed 115 games with spinal stenosis, and last year only played in 37. So the million-dollar question this year is, what can David Wright provide for the Mets? We'll have to wait until mid-March to find out. Chris?
Thank you, Joe. Now, David Wright, this is a big question mark for the Mets. Can he be effective for this team? I mean, he's been hurt a lot in the past few years. Is he going to be effective this year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a huge question mark. You don't know what's going to happen with this guy. He seems to get hurt every year, and it's inevitable. He's going to get hurt this year and probably end up being out for the season. But now, you know, the Mets have that backup plan. But if you look at David Wright's stats from last year, in just 37 games, a short sample size, he hit 7 home runs, 14 RBIs, and for a low average, 226. So he can be productive if he plays for a while, and the Mets are going to have to limit the amount that he plays so he doesn't get hurt.
Big stat you're missing there is strikeouts. Struck out 55 times in 37 games. That's a lot. That shows his bat speed's not there. He's getting older. He's not the same, obviously. I think they're better off with Jose Reyes, honestly.
And Chris, I don't know if you mind, but I need a direct line of vision towards Craig here. Last year, I said David Wright's career is going to end in the next 2 seasons. And it's looking really, really bad for the third baseman right now. It does not look like he's going to be playing all season. Obviously, he's not going to start till March, as per what Terry Collins says. And he hasn't been playing in front of reporters or anybody really during practices. He's been throwing the ball behind the scenes, trying to stay away from everybody to show them, I believe, that he's not ready to play in a major league game.
Him. Like Joe said, he's not playing till mid-March or the end of March. So they're limiting him, and the Mets are being really careful with him. And I think during the season, he's only going to play 3-4 games a week. probably. And Reyes is going to play the rest. They're going to limit him, and they're going to see what they get out of him. And I think he can be productive in his limited at-bats that he's going to have.
All right, now let's talk about there's some rule changes in the MLB, the intentional walk rule and the strike zone being changed. We'll talk about both of them at once. Start with you, Giuseppe. What's your thoughts on these rules?
Chris, I hate everything about these possible rule changes. I don't believe that they need to speed the game up at all. You don't need new fans. They have so many fans in baseball right now, and it's not like the intentional walk rule is going to draw people to watch baseball. They're not going to be like, oh, they finally can just hold up 4 fingers and instead of throwing 4 pitches to the plate now. It makes the game less fun with what they're doing right now.
I mean, they're doing this for the whole, pace of play thing, but what's a 4 pitches really going to make that much difference? What, 10, 20 seconds? I mean, I think it's better because it does going to shave down that time and really, it's a 4th. It's not that big of a deal to me.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
Absolutely
Yeah.
no
About
sense.
the strike zone also, that's been changed. What's going on with that? Should they really change the strike zone? I mean, it's already not a set thing.
I mean, I think that's ridiculous to change the strike zone. The intentional walk thing, I don't have a problem with that because I think intentional walks are a waste of time anyway. But the strike zone one, that is ridiculous. Why are you gonna change the strike zone in Major League Baseball? It's absolutely ridiculous, and it changes the whole game. It's going to change the entire game. Why would they want to do that?
I don't think you can change the strike zone because I think the umpires, no matter what, are going to go by their strike zone. I don't think there's a way you could change. We see the strike zone on TV and everything, but it doesn't make a difference, obviously. And back to the intentional walks, if you're going to have challenges, we have time for 4 pitches. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's all we have for this episode of WP Sports Desk. Thank you to our analysts, crew, and studio manager, Al Clarke. From Studio B in Hobart Hall, I'm Chris Turner-Demondo. We'll see you next time.